From horror sequels in Scream 3 to action sequels in Mission Impossible 2 to even Christmas classics in the Jim Carrey's Grinch movie, the year 2000 is definitely going down as a year for movies. What is up, Film Geeks? My name is Trevor and welcome to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of this series where I give you my top 10 favorite movies from every year I've been alive. Part 1 is already on the channel. The link is up above where I gave you my top 10 favorite movies from 1999. Today, we're focusing on the year 2000. And the year 2000, honestly, is one of the weakest years for movies in my entire lifetime. The 10 movies on this list, 2, I'm not the biggest fan of. They just made this list because the year 2000 was that weak for movies. But nonetheless, let me know your ranking of your favorite movies from the year 2000. Your number 1, your top 10, whatever you got. Let me know those down below. And if I missed any, let me know which of I missed of yours down below in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. And let's get into this. At number 10, one of my least favorite Christopher Nolan movies, but it is a Christopher Nolan movie, so I had to make the list. Memento. This movie went on to gross only $40 million at the box office. Not up to par with lots of Christopher Nolan's work. Now, Memento is one of my least favorite Nolan movies. This movie still has lots to enjoy with it, with like the whole mystery element about it, and the way that Christopher Nolan plays those mind games, he does it so well. I've only seen this movie one time. I probably should go back and rewatch it. It's been a couple of years since I have seen it, but Christopher Nolan is arguably my favorite director of all time, so this movie had to make this list as a caveat. At number 9 is going to be Scream 3, which grossed $162 million, which is a pretty damn good amount for another horror sequel. Scream 3 is my least favorite of the Scream franchise, but I just love the Scream world so much, so anytime I get to dive back into it with these characters, I have a great time. Scream 3 didn't do what majority of Scream movies did. It didn't have that wow factor that most of the Scream movies have. The villain wasn't all that compelling, and honestly, I found myself pretty bored throughout this movie. Scream 3 and Memento are two movies I'm honestly not the biggest fan of, but this year was so weak for film that they just made the list. At number 8, Mission Impossible 2. How can you not love Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible franchise? Now, the older Mission Impossible movies, Mission Impossible 2 and 3, I haven't gone back and rewatched in probably a decade. But I remember watching the OG Mission Impossible trilogy with my family growing up and having such a great time while watching it, and that's exactly what these movies are. They are a fun time at the movies. This movie went on to gross $546.4 million, raked it in at the box office as this franchise always does. Mission Impossible 2, it's a damn fire movie. At number 7 is going to be The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson. And this movie did $215.3 million at the box office. The Patriot's one of my favorite war movies of all time, and Mel Gibson during this time was just on top of the war movie genre. From Braveheart to The Patriot, he absolutely kills it. And with The Patriot, this movie is absolutely brutal and it's heartbreaking, but has some of the best action sequences I still have seen in my life to this day. I don't go back and rewatch this one all that much, but Mel Gibson in The Patriot, it's a damn good movie. At number 6, Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, doing $345.1 million at the box office. But what will I wear? Ooh, that's what I'm not going. I'm a diehard fan of this movie. I watch it every year for Christmas, and I'm a diehard Jim Carrey fan. And Ron Howard's the director of this movie, which I always thought was kind of fascinating because he always does different type movies, not really these Christmas classics, and he absolutely crushes it with this one. This movie is funny, has lots going for it, but Jim Carrey as the Grinch is what makes this movie so lovable. That's what I'm not going. Breaking us into the top 5. Gladiator. Russell Crowe absolutely crushes it, and so does Joaquin Phoenix. This movie brought in $460.5 million to the US box office, one of the highest grossing movies of the entire year. Ridley Scott absolutely nailed it out of the park with this movie, and Russell Crowe turns in the performance of his entire career. And Joaquin Phoenix is one of the most hateable characters ever in this movie, but talk about badass action from start to finish. While it is a little bit cheesy in certain lines in there, this movie is just an action fest from start to finish about a man on a quest for revenge. It's a damn good movie and holds up to this day. At number 4, X-Men, doing $296.3 million at the box office. I'm a diehard X-Men fan, and the X-Men franchise is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I love the first X-Men movie. I go back and watch it every couple years, and I have so much fun when I do, get introduced to all of these awesome characters, from Jean Grey to Storm to Logan, Wolverine himself. This movie is like one of the first big action blockbuster Marvel movies coming to the big screen in the 2000s, and it set up what ended up up being one of the messiest, all over the place franchises in the superhero genre, or in any genre for that matter. But still, to this day, I absolutely love the first X-Men. Every time I go back and watch this movie, I have a big smile on my face. At number 3 is Emperor's New Groove. I think this is one of the most underrated Disney movies of all time, doing $169.6 million at the box office. Pull the lever, Kronk. Wrong lever! At number 2, arguably one of my favorite directors, Guy Ritchie's Snatch. This movie did $83.6 million at the box office, and if you haven't seen Snatch, you need to go and toss this movie on because it is a wild ride. Brad Pitt is absolutely hilarious in this movie. Jason Statham nails it out of the park, and this movie, while it is all over the place, it has that Guy Ritchie flair that's kind of bending the boundaries a little bit and just sucks you into this world with performances across the board, great action, great little twists and turns. Guy Ritchie's the man. He's been killing it since the 90s, and he's one of my favorite directors of all time. But at number 1 is one of my favorite sport movies of all time. Remember the Titans did $136.8 million at the box office, and Remember the Titans to this day is a movie I love to go back and rewatch. One of the most quotable Disney movies of all time. This was a golden era for Disney sport movies. You had Remember the Titans, you had Invincible, and you had Miracle. This era, take me back to that time because they absolutely nailed it out of the park with these movies. An inspiring movie, and every time I watch it I get chills, and I love Remember the Titans, and it's my favorite movie from the year 2000. Let me know your favorite movies from the year 2000 down below in the comments section. Coming soon, we'll have a part 3 to this series, my favorite movies from the year 2001, which is actually a really good year for movies. Let me know your list down below in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bells so you don't miss out on any future content. I'll see you guys in the next one.